Hello and welcome to this video on that big ship. Squeeze in. Keeps blowing my mind away. Spears, wheels, actually this one. The wind just cut through your fingers. Or whether they simply run out of supplies, giving you some kind of inspiration. Hello and welcome to this very special episode of How to Be a Great GM. I am here in Finland, courtesy of the Troikon 2018 festival, and I happen to be inside a museum that has one of the most amazing displays that you will ever see. So if you're coming to Finland, forget everything else, just come here, all right? And sitting with me is the man who made it happen. Nicholas, thank you for being on the show. You are the curator of this display, this fantastic display.
Yeah. Yes, I'm one of the curators, together with Jaakko Stenros from the University of Tampere and some other people also from the museum. But I'm one of the people. Yeah.
Lovely. And what is it? It is a tribute to Finnish role-playing, is that right?
It is, yeah. It's about Finnish role-playing games, but also the gamers and the players who sort of have been playing all these years. So yeah.
Right. And you're going to see footage of the actual museum itself. Now, what inspired a museum, although it is the Museum of Gaming, is that right?
Yeah. With the Finnish Museum of Games, and sort of from very early on, we opened in 2017. We noticed that sort of we could do a lot more with role-playing games. We have some on display in the actual Finnish Museum of Games, in the basic exhibition of that museum, 8 Finnish sort of central games. But there's so much more to tell also, and also when we talked with sort of digital game developers, most of them talked about how they have a history in tabletop role-playing games and how those games actually sort of shape their work in many different ways. So we thought it would be nice to have an actual exhibition about tabletop role-playing games, and Jaakko Stenros from the University of Tampere, he was really central in this because he sort of organized this collecting of most Finnish published games, and there's a lot of published Finnish role-playing games. Sort of the amount is somewhere around 300 different titles, if we sort of count commercially published games and also games made for public view. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So when was the very first Finnish role-playing game released?
The first one was in 1985. That was sort of a photocopied game called Akirema, or the actual title is longer, but maybe you can show it on screen later on. But it was made by this guy Risto Hieta, who's a really central figure for Finnish role-playing games, and he's been sort of publishing since. Most of the games he published are sort of quite not sort of low-key self-published things, and I think he has closer to 100 published games already, or many tens of them. So he's a really central figure, and it started there. And actually, when Risto was making this game, he hadn't actually seen a role-playing game at that time. So he sort of reverse engineered the idea what a tabletop role-playing game is, from playing with console games, playing with computer role-playing games, and reading some articles about Dungeons and Dragons, and he was really interested in this. He couldn't get his hands on these actual games because in Finland at that time you didn't have these specialized stores for role-playing games. So he actually made his own rules based on what he thought a role-playing game should be.
Well, that's enterprising, right? And he's such a prolific author as well.
Yeah.
But you said it's 300 titles really that have been released since 1985.
Yeah.
Okay. And the role-playing community is obviously very strong in order to be able to support these creators.
It is, yeah. Sales figures aren't that big, so most people are sort of making these out of a love for the hobby, and some of them are sort of really professionally made and written and published in Finnish, and I think it's a sort of the breadth of Finnish published role-playing games is astounding.
Right. So you've got fantasy. Is there science fiction?
Yeah, there's some science fiction, of course. Fantasy is the main thing, but there's also quite a lot of sort of surprising games about penguins or
Yes,
sort of love and Chernobyl or yeah, whatever, sort of really different titles.
Absolutely. And have any of those titles translated into English and moved out of Finland?
Some of them, yeah. We have some games like Myrskyn Sankarit, which is actually published in a box. It's published as Age of the Tempest. Because Heroes of the Storm, which is the literal translation, they couldn't use because of Blizzard.
Right.
And there's Astraterra by Miska Fredman. His game, the first edition, is available in English, and some others as well, but not that many in game.
Right. There's also Stalker.
Stalker, yes, sorry,
okay.
by Ville Vuoro. Yeah,
Right.
that's the central.
Right.
central.
We're going to try and put links to where you can pick those up from in the description below. Most of it you'll find on Drive-Through RPG, of course. So, having put this together, I mean, what inspired the design for this space? I mean, it's fantastic. It really is very evocative of role-playing.
Well, one of the ideas was to sort of talk about role-playing games to actual players, but also the people who don't really know what role-playing games are. Or they might have some kind of idea, they might have played computer role-playing games or console games, and they sort of basically know what it's about, but they haven't really gotten into the hobby. So this is planned as a space where you can get back to your childhood hobby or
Right.
sort of learn it or teach it to your kids or things like this. So we wanted to have a sort of nice looking environment where the whole sort of exhibition space comes to life and breathes.
Yes.
Role-playing games, aesthetics. Yeah.
I love that the exhibition is based around a giant gaming table. Which is it's an amazing table to play at, I would imagine. But you've also got an entire gaming table up on the wall, which we'll show you. But that's including chip packets and things. Where did that come from? Is that in a...
That's actually a group from Tampere, the local group. They played a campaign of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons in the spring, and they continued to, I think, June. And then when they stopped, they had maybe 10 sessions.
Yeah.
And when they stopped, they all of them stood up and they sort of took pictures of the table, how they sort of left it at the end of this campaign, and everything on the table came to the museum, and we sort of made a reconstruction
Yes.
about where it ended. So it's a group of Mikko Walrus and his friends, and he's playing a lot, and they are sort of this new generation, really active Finnish players.
Right. And do you think that role-playing has got so big in Finland? Is it because of the number of universities? Because Finland's got a very high percentage of universities, doesn't it?
Yeah, that might have something to do with it. But I think when role-playing games came to Finland in the mid-'80s and they started to be translated, they came at the same time with computer games in a way. So
yes.
A whole generation of young kids were playing computer games. They were playing role-playing games. Some of them move on to sort of designing computer games. Some of them move on to designing role-playing games. But a whole generation was sort of touched. And after that, we have these amazing conventions like Ropecon or Tracon where you're visiting now. I think that's a big thing in sort of keeping the hobby alive, and all these designers who actually publish their games and make them available. So it's many different factors. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you role play?
I do. Yeah.
What system do you play?
So now we have this campaign on Adventure Conquer King system,
Right.
A sort of retro clone of Dungeons and Dragons. We played a couple of years, and we do play some Cyberpunk,
Right.
the original
Right.
or the 2020 version
Yes.
of Cyberpunk.
Yes.
Basically, I like to try out different systems.
Perfect. I think we all should. Anyway, that's all we have time for here today. So thank you for sharing with us and imparting and setting a bar. I think anyone out there who's writing a role-playing system, you've got 300 to write to try and catch up with Finland. Good luck. And until next time, that's me from Finland. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more like this. Hit the like button if you like the video, of course. And until next time, I wish you and yours the happiest of gaming.